As a newbie entrepreneur soon, advice to the audience.
Listen to Bob.
Yes, and I did not pay for that endorsement.
Yeah,
I love that.
I cannot endorse that. I can in good conscience and faith. Sorry, I got a phone call.
Not prioritizing the podcast.
It is a priority. I had to tell the phone call, which was a business phone call, that I have to call them back.
Your mother calling is not a business phone
It's
call.
business. She's my number one customer, my funder.
Number one fan.
She's the
my
one
biggest
subscriber.
fan. Yeah, she's the one.
No followers to one follower.
Ruining our brand already.
Yeah. Don't be mean to my mom. She just called me to talk. Tell me about her day. No. Welcome to another episode of No Followers Podcast. I'm T, this is Bob, and this is Better Zach over here. We had another Zach before, but he's done. He's alive, I just want to be clear.
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah, we
he
didn't.
just got cut
He's
from
fine.
the podcast.
He's not with us. He's with us. He's not with.
Wow, you're really screwing
He's
this
fine.
up. This is an awesome intro.
That's why he's
Perfect
worse
intro.
Zach. But
Let's
we're lucky.
kick it
We
off
got
to-
better Zach.
We got better Zach. And
We're
he's going to
at-
share an experience.
Yeah, go ahead. Better Zach, tell us
You
about.
didn't even tell him where he's from, like the Expo.
I was getting to it.
You're very
You
slow
won't
on
stop
this.
with the yapping. With the yapping over here. We're at the Expo, the Business Expo.
Yep,
And you are a student,
I am.
and your major is
Business administration.
business administration. What a great place for you to be at a Business Expo.
Perfect place to be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this brings up a good topic. Networking.
Oh, networking.
Is it a dirty word, Zach?
I don't think it's a dirty word. I feel like my network is pretty small right now, so I want to grow that however I can.
Sure.
I don't
Did you
think-
connect to people today?
I did. I met everyone that had a table here.
Did you get their information so you can connect with them?
Yeah, I've connected with most of them on LinkedIn already, and then
Wow.
got business cards if I did not connect already, and I will later.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Zach, for people that don't know, what's a secret shopper?
A secret shopper. I was basically just going and talking to them and interviewing them without them knowing that it was an interview. So I had a list of questions that I could base our conversations around, but I basically just had a normal conversation and then eased those topics into there.
Nice.
So it wasn't too obvious, and then I'd walk away and take my notes. So
Smart.
I didn't
you
do
had
it right in
you
front
had
of
a
their
process. You had a good process.
I did.
And Bob, on my left, secret shoppers. No, you're on my left, not to your left, to my left. Secret shoppers. Do they exist in the real world for businesses?
Yes, they do.
Okay, great. Nothing more. That's fine
Okay,
for me.
thank you.
Back to Better Zach. I'm manic today. It's a long day.
Did you not have enough sugar?
I didn't have enough coffee, to be honest.
There's coffee over there. You didn't have it?
No, it's cold and there's only decaf left.
That's true.
That's not
Thank
coffee.
you. Why do people always say actually after I said, he's like, actually, that's true. Like, I lie a lot. Zach.
Because he knows you already.
Zach, at any moment, you could be demoted to worse Zach.
6 minutes into an interview, he already knows you're full of crap.
Yeah. So we've established what a secret shopper is and that
Yes.
they're real.
So I was the validating point.
Well, I'm just saying, this isn't just a educational exercise.
No.
There are secret shoppers are real things that companies do to make sure that franchisees, employees, everything are doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Especially brands on shelves.
Yeah. End caps, displays in stores. I think a frequent one that you'll see in a grocery store, beer distributors go through, and you might see them turning the cans so that they're all facing out the right way. There is a lot of work that goes behind brand awareness. So anything that stood out to you today from your secret shopping experience, any responses or anything?
Yeah, I feel like I just learned a lot about some people. I think there's two stands where they really focus on the personal relationship when it comes to selling or marketing, whereas there's others that they just focus on gaining as many people as possible and then not really focusing on that that relationship building. And I feel like the ones that focused on it more, I learned more from them, and they had more real world experience that they could share with me rather than just giving me a sales pitch real quick and then moving on. And so yeah,
The relationship building is major. That is.
But it's also time consuming.
Yeah, and it's also expensive. And we talk about this all the time. Sometimes you'll take a loss on something to maintain the relationship.
yeah, that's something that they were talking about as well.
Yeah, and that's a very real thing that happens. And to a lot of people, it doesn't make sense. But that depends on your brand and your mission and your vision.
What stood out to you? Good or bad? For
About
your
the-
future?
About the whole expo?
Yeah, all your interactions.
What stood out to me is that there's just like multiple different approaches from all these different people and different companies about how they're running their business, and they've all experienced success, but they've also all experienced a lot of failure. And it's important that they learn from that failure and they helped that failure to grow their business rather than just let it shut them down. I feel it's something that stood out to me from talking to most of them, is that they shared a failure with me.
So how are you going to apply some of this to the future for you?
I think that when it's time for me to enter the real world, I'll keep that mindset that they have. I'll keep that approach in mind so that I could also learn to grow from failures rather than let it just roll me over. And also, I think something that they said was that they focus on relationships and growing relationships because they hold it close to their values. It's something that's important to them, and I think I share that as well. I think that will be something that's important to me, so I hope to also have that in the future.
Live from the Expo. My name is Emma Anderson. I major in health science and I am a minor in business administration.
Well, we're here to learn from you because you were in charge of market research at this expo. So I can't wait to hear the genius.
So let's do a survey for you. What was your experience here today?
Well, today based off of what I was told in the beginning of the Expo, I was trying to learn more on real life what these businesses are doing, and how what we're learning in class is different from what they're doing, and how possibly what they are doing we can see as something that we could change within our own business eventually.
Nice. Experiential learning, as they say.
Yes. Yeah.
So how did the theory compare to the reality?
The theory is definitely there, but I don't think a lot of people are using it. I could tell, based off of my questions, it didn't seem like a lot of them had the frameworks that we talked about within class. So like SWOT, VRIO, OKR, anything like that. They had the general idea of what they are, but didn't specifically state like they were using this to make sure that they were getting to this success or this next step. Some of them didn't really have pure goals too, which I saw. Like they had the idea of, okay, we're gonna get hopefully like this many customers within the next last half of this year. But I didn't really see a lot of ways that they were gonna ensure that they hit it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things that we talk about a lot is accountability and goal setting. And if you don't, it's hard sometimes to attach metrics to things, but if you don't attach some sort of a metric, then when you do a 3-month or a 6-month look back, it's impossible to know. And the easiest example we always give people is social media. You can say, I want to grow my social media. That's a great statement. But if you go, I want to double my followers within the next 3 months, and then you go, okay, from that, what's my plan? How am I going to do that? I'm going to post 4 to 5 times a week. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And then at the end of 3 months, you go, okay, what was my follower count? What is it now? Mm-hmm. And then the follow-up to that is,
what's your revenue line?
Tying that to sales. Yeah. Your followers have grown, have your sales grown? So I think you're spot on. Actual goal setting is a big one.
So what did you learn? How is this beneficial to you in your career?
Future career is hopefully I'm running my own physical therapy business. So obviously the goals within that business are to be able to help my patients and help them thrive after their injuries. But I'm still going to have to focus on making that income, still networking with other people so I still get those patients, especially if it's going to be me myself owning that business. And I also want to ensure that I am using SMART goals. I am making sure that I have a specific plan set up, because as we've learned from Bob's class, you have to have a specific strategy going into a business, and you have to ensure that you have a plan in place. If you stray from it, that's okay, but you still have to have that plan so you know what steps to take at certain points in time.
Yeah, absolutely. Good for you. I mean, it is. So I have multiple family members in healthcare, on all sides of it, as providers and as business people. And even my dad, he's a provider, but he's also has a business role. And I think a lot of people forget about the business side of it. And it is, unfortunately, the side that probably needs just as much time and attention. And it's tough. It's tough to do when you're doing the substantive work in addition to the other part, but it's a lot of the same concepts of why is someone going to choose you? You know, what are their needs? You know, what do you cater to?
What are the big takeaways for you? What stood out from your interactions with real business owners at different stages?
I think that
Don't mention any names. You want to hurt their feelings.
I'm right here. I'm very sensitive.
I think that I will like definitely learn from how they responded to questions asking about their challenges. I do think some kind of like weaved around it and didn't want to talk about it. They talked about the potential challenges and not the ones that they're facing currently, which like I'm almost too critical of myself and I think too much about the challenges that I face. But when people ask me about my challenges, I still want to be able to tell them upfront and straight, this is what I'm facing.
Yeah. And good on you for having like that level of emotional intelligence to say like, I can be critical, but on the flip side of that, we also always say the perfect is the enemy of the good. And this is my problem frequently. I'm trying to make everything perfect because I am my biggest critic. And it's a hard line to walk for sure, to be able to go like, I want to have an open and honest assessment. And that's why it's so good to do the surveys and the feedback that you were doing all day, because it makes businesses go, okay, I see it from my lens, but how does someone else see it? I think that a lot of times it's daunting to business owners to go like, I got to do a survey and blah, blah, blah. And although it is, like you said, like it is a logistics challenge up front, it's not the hardest thing you're going to do throughout your day. And so you got to do it. You got to get it done. You got to get that feedback.
But I think they also have to understand why it's a priority.
Yeah.
Because their messaging, their marketing, the way they onboard future staff and vendors all come out of the market intel that they should be gathering on a regular basis. So.
Yeah. And if you don't, you know, to make it tangible, you know, as a fabricator, hands-on person, I say to people all the time, they'll come in, and I've worked with a lot of fabricators that go like, oh, this doesn't have to be perfect, just get it out the door. And that's fine if you have the capability to do perfect. But if you never figure out how to make it perfect, maybe it doesn't matter on this one or the next one or the one after, but when it does matter, you're not going to know how to. And so it'll take you 6 hours to do it the first time, then 5, then 4, then 3. Then you can make a perfect piece in 45 minutes. But you got to put in the work. And it's the same thing with any of this stuff. Surveys, anything else. It's going to take you longer, and then less time, and now you know how to do it. And now it's a process. Now it's part of your process, and you're good to go.
As a newbie entrepreneur soon, advice to the audience.
Listen to Bob.
Oh, that's...
Yes, and I did not pay for that endorsement. I love that.
I cannot endorse that. I can in good conscience and faith.
Thank you, Emma. Good job today, too.
Thank you.
I know it's like corralling cats.
Yeah.
All right.
Am I a cat then?
No, this was not about you, T.
You know me.
Oh, I didn't ask
I'll make
Emma
it
the
about me.
important question. Ketchup's the dip, right?
No. First of all,
No.
everything that you've said
Yeah, be
survey-wise,
quiet.
that's a
Be
bias.
quiet.
You're leading her.
I asked a simple
no,
question.
I watched.
She agrees with you.
I watched that podcast. I completely disagree with Bob on that one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a condiment.
It is a condiment.
Yes. Thank you. As most people think. Emma, you've been phenomenal today. Thank you so much
Except for that
doing this.
comment about Bob.
Except for that one Bob snafu. We'll fix that in post. Don't worry about it. And thank you again. Good
Thank
luck
you.
at
Thanks,
grad
Emma.
school.
Thank you.
And we're here.
And what did you do today, Jake?
I did an internship.
Did nothing. Okay, nice. Good job.
Did nothing, I guess. I did nothing.
No, what did you do?
I helped set up this event, made sure the food was on the table for everybody, make sure everybody got to the place they needed to be, and yeah.
All right. Logistics, we'd call that.
Logistics, I actually introduced myself to some companies in the capital region.
That is the name of the game. And it's not necessarily a dirty word, networking. It's if you are genuine in the relationships you build, it's a great place to start relationships.
Did you learn any best practices of networking that you never did before, or you are fairly gregarious?
Yeah, I feel like there's a couple things. I've never been in an event, an environment like this, where you had to go to booths and actually put your name to your face and like, oh, this is you, nice to meet you, and shake someone's hands. I've never really done that. So getting out there and experience that in the first world, in real world, and actually doing it for the first time, it set me up for future events if I had to do it again.
Big Mike, volunteer coordinator for the Expo. We're talking to him about what he saw, how managing students and managing non-students affected your view of the world in business?
Your view of the world. Go ahead. I'm hooked.
I think the most fun part about doing something like that is just being able to meet the different personalities that walk in. You can catch a glimpse of people walking in and you can see them interacting, but until you get up close with them and you're working alongside them, you kind of get to see, where people are most efficient, where people may not want to be, and how to kind of best maximize everyone's talents to make things run smooth. And I think we did a pretty good job of that today.
Nice.
Lessons learned. For people out there that are thinking about hiring and managing people for the first time, because a lot of our listeners are newbie entrepreneurs.
I think a lot of good conversation comes from getting personable with people. I think, you can talk business all you want and people are going to give you the formal answers, but sometimes digging into a little bit about who makes them who is kind of important to understand who you're really working with, where they're best suited and what their talents are, and whether or not they're a fit for what you're doing entirely. I think that's a big part of it. And if you can't work with someone's personality, it doesn't matter how good they are sometimes. So
It's very true.
We have that problem.
We have a big problem.
Can tell.
It's a big problem.
He's
On
not
to
a follower.
other
I don't care what he-
things. We don't want followers. We want independent thinkers to follow, like, and subscribe.
And sponsor.
And sponsor.
Oh, can I put you down? Awesome, thank you.
Got $3 for you.
But
Covers my
you hit
ketchup
on
for the
something that's
week.
major that a lot of people don't do, which is the alignment of talent with job description.
Yeah.
Right. And it seems obvious. It seems very obvious. I'm a great fabricator, maybe one of the best fabricators to ever fabricate anything, I've been told. But
He looked in the mirror and said that. That's not the same thing as the accolades I got on this podcast today. Just saying.
But like, if I'm in charge of house painting, right, there's an obvious misalignment. The thing that is more difficult that frequently happens, and I don't know if you ran into this today, but like, everyone's on the same team, right? Let's say everyone's in charge of marketing.
Yep.
And you're in charge of getting secret shoppers. And Emma's in charge of doing the video. But Emma's never ran a camera before, and Jake is out there, and Jake knows how to run a camera, but Jake didn't tell anyone that he knows how to run a camera, and he likes doing. So it's these things where you go like, okay, how do I find out, not just from my view, what's their best talent, but in their eyes? Because at the end of the day, you're going to have more satisfied employees if they feel like they're using their skills at work instead of going like, I'm writing copy all day, but I know how to do Adobe editing. And they've never asked me to edit anything before. So you hit on a major thing for sure, which is that talent, work assignment alignment. Talent, work assignment alignment.
So how are you going to apply this to your career?
I think going in, I want to be in business administration somewhere in a front office, hopefully. And if that's the case, then I'm going to be working with a team. And I want to make sure that I really do vet that team and understand who I'm working with. And I want people who also have differing viewpoints. I think it's important that I have people alongside me that have completely opposite skills and, ways that they're thinking of how things should be done, because eventually you will find that middle ground. And when we found the middle ground today, it ran smoothest. And I think that's the case in most things, whether it's, classwork or internship work, or if you're just at your job, finding middle ground in a team is the easiest way things get done.
Yeah, knowing how to be wrong and when to be wrong and how to
I know I'm wrong a lot, so.
Yeah. I do the opposite. I look for people
thinks
that
he's always
only
right.
think I'm great. I exclusively work with people that
Only yes men.
Why am I here?
The first question I ask them is, how great am I? And if they say anything other than the greatest, I go, this isn't going to work out.
And you keep Bob around to tell you otherwise. That way the yes men inflate you more.
I'm in a contract that I can't get out of. It's ironclad. I've gone to multiple attorneys. I am locked up. Otherwise, it would not stand. What do you, just tell me real quick, 2 seconds, what do you want to do with your life?
I want to be in a front office. I want to be big boss executive somewhere for a sports team.
Nice.
To be determined where or when, but going to find a way.
What sport?
Hopefully.
Do you have a sport?
Baseball.
Baseball.
All the way. And sometimes in life you're going to get things wrong. Sometimes you're going to end up talking at a table with Bob and T. Wherever you end up, make the most of it.
There you go.
Send it.
I'm gonna go off of that. Wherever you end up, that's where you are. Bob?
No Followers Podcast. Follow, like, subscribe. Send me the DMs because he never answers.
Sponsor.
And sponsor. Thank you,
Sponsor.
Michael.
Thank you, Mike.